Millionaire's stunning reunion at Orphanage. Dad. She screams at 3 p.m. in front of everyone. The afternoon sun was hanging like a fiery orb over the old orphanage, casting long shadows over the cracked pavement. Kids ran around, their laughter ringing out like tiny bells, when suddenly, the air shifted. A sleek black car pulled up, its engine purring like a giant cat. The crowd hushed, all eyes glued to the door as it swung open. Out stepped Lila Matthews, the long-lost heiress everyone thought had vanished. Her sparkly dress glittered, capturing everyone's gaze. Yet there was something about her eyes like storm clouds brewing beneath the surface. She took a breath, her chest heaving, the weight of the world pressing down on her. Just as she stepped forward, there was a chill in the air. A strange wind rustled the trees, whispering secrets that sent shivers down spines. Then, in one heart-stopping moment, she screamed, "Dad." The words sliced through the quiet like a knife, drawing gasps from the onlookers. Faces twisted in confusion, and whispers darted through the crowd like fireflies at dusk. Is he really here? Where has he been all these years? Every child and adult stood frozen, eyes wide like saucers. Some clutched at their throats, stunned. Others murmured animatedly, their brows furrowed in disbelief. In her heart, Lila felt a mix of hope and dread, an insatiable yearning to fill the void that had haunted her for years. What would it mean if he really was here? Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system, and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The crowd was buzzing with a mix of excitement and anxiety. Who was this man? Did Lila really know him? As she scanned the crowd, her heart pounded louder, each beat echoing in her ears like a drum roll before a grand reveal. Shadows danced across their faces, and in that moment, she felt 1,000 questions clawing at her mind. Suddenly, she saw a figure emerging from the dilapidated building, a man, tall, rugged, with haunting familiarity, but also worn down by time. Her breath hitched. Could this be her father? The very man who had left her behind? What secrets lay behind those stormy eyes? As he stepped forward, the world around her faded, the connection pulling her closer. Would he recognize her? Would he take her back into his arms? Or would she be left standing alone, lost in the echo of her own desperate hope? The crowd parted as the man moved closer, his face unreadable. Lila's heart raced like a freight train barreling down the tracks. He seemed to be studying her, his deep-set eyes searching for a spark of recognition. The minutes felt like hours. She could feel the weight of 1,000 curious gazes, all focused on this fragile moment, hanging in the air as thick as fog. What if he doesn't remember me? The thought thundered in her mind, tightening her throat. What if the person she dreamed of, longed for, was a stranger now? How could she possibly bridge the years of silence? He stepped forward, his brow furrowing in confusion. Lila? The voice was rough around the edges, a whisper barely above a breath. It ignited a flicker of hope inside her. Yes, it's me, she shouted, and a relieved laugh burst from her lips. Her heart soared. This was her moment. She took a step closer, reaching out, but he flinched, stepping back as if she had struck him. The laughter died, replaced by a thick silence laden with unspoken words. After all these years, what are you doing here? Why did you come back? His voice was heavy, weighted with years of unanswered questions. Lila's heart sank. I wanted to find you, she stammered. I thought you wanted to find me too. Her voice broke, the hope crumbling, replaced by a surge of desperation. I just wanted to know why you left. The man's eyes darkened, and he raked a hand through his graying hair, a pained expression twisting his features. You don't understand. There are things you don't know, things I wish I could change. Suddenly, a little girl tugged on Lila's sparkly dress, breaking the charged atmosphere. Are you really her dad? She asked innocently, eyes wide and trusting. The crowd gasped again, more questions buzzing in the air than before. Lila turned to the little girl, a flicker of hope igniting again, paired with a pang of fear. She wanted to scream that yes, he was her father and everything would be all right. But the reality felt far from that happy ending. The man's expression twisted again. He looked away, lost in a world of regret. "You don't know who I am anymore," he said softly. "Your return wasn't what I expected." I thought his voice trailed off, and Lila felt a chill seep into her bones. Then a loud, shrill siren cut through the tension, causing everyone to jump. A police car rolled into the gravel driveway, lights flashing. The crowd murmured in concern, eyes darting from Lila to her father, confusion evident in their expressions. "Stay here," the man said finally, his voice urgent. "I'll get to the bottom of this. I promise." He turned, beginning to walk away, but Lila called out, "Wait. Don't leave me." But he didn't look back. The sirens blared louder, drowning out the chatter like a monstrous wave crashing down on her. Panic surged within her as she felt the crowd moving around her, jostling and murmuring in a mixture of fear and intrigue, eyes glued to the drama unfolding. Why had the police come? What secrets lay in the shadows? And why did her father look like he was escaping? As she stood there, the weight of unanswered questions bore down like an avalanche. Was she about to lose him again? And just when she thought things couldn't get worse, she noticed shadows moving in the distance, figures lurking behind the trees, watching. The reality of her reunion now hung in an even heavier balance, and everything felt like it was about to unravel. What had Lila gotten herself into? What was waiting just beyond the trees? Lila's breath caught as shadows shifted behind the trees. They moved like dark specters, weaving in and out of sight. She squinted, trying to make out their shapes, but they were indistinct, just thick forms that sent chills racing down her spine. Whispers danced through the crowd, a tangible wave of anxiety washing over everyone present. "Is that his family?" a woman murmured, glancing anxiously at the figures. "What is happening?" "Lila." A voice cut through the crackle of confusion. It was her father, now surrounded by officers who stepped in with purpose. "You need to stand back," he ordered, his voice harsh and commanding. He turned, eyes wide with alarm, as if seeing everything for the first time. A knot formed in Lila's stomach. This wasn't just a reunion anymore. There was something sinister festering beneath the surface. "What is going on?" she shouted, her voice trembling but loud enough to pierce the chaos. "Trust me," he barked, a quick glance tossed her way. "It's not safe." "Not safe?" Lila echoed, incredulous. "What do you mean? You just left me. I came back to find you." The desperation surged forward, each word like a fist against her chest. The officers ducked beneath the thick branches of the trees, shadows merging with their uniforms. Tension spiked in the air. Lila lost track of time as a sense of dread settled over everything like a heavy blanket. Then, the first shout erupted from behind the trees, deep and menacing. "You're not getting out of this, Matt." It was a voice Lila didn't recognize, but the malice vibrated through the crowd. Murmurs spread like lightning, igniting fear in the hearts of those gathered. "Go." Lila's father shouted suddenly, his face pale as he advanced toward the encroaching figures. "I'll handle this." "Handle what?" Lila screamed, panic rising inside her. "Dad, please don't." But the command echoed in the thrumming air, and he took several steps forward, fueled by a mix of anger and determination. In those moments, everything felt surreal. The crowd pressed back, some people clutching one another, shielding their children from the looming threat. Shadows danced, and Lila's heart surged. Was he really going to confront whatever was out there? "Matt." The sinister voice echoed again, and Lila felt ice trickle down her spine. "You thought you could hide forever? That your past wouldn't catch up?" A flurry of movements erupted, as if in a slow-motion film. Lila's father, Matt, stopped and turned sharply, terror and regret clouding his gaze. "Stay back," he shouted, raising a hand as if it could ward off whatever darkness was about to flood them. She couldn't just stand there. She took a step forward, her legs moving before her mind caught up. "I'm not scared, whoever you are." Before she knew it, a figure emerged from the shadows, tall and intimidating, with a wild look in his eyes. He stepped into the light of the police car's flashlight, revealing a face Lila had never seen, but felt as though she always knew somehow. "What have you done, Matt?" he snarled, resentment saturating his voice. Lila's heart drummed in her ears as the man turned his stare toward her, locking eyes in a way that sent her stumbling back. "Lila, no?" Matt shouted, but it was too late. The man's lips curled into a twisted smile as he stepped closer. You're more involved in this than you think. The crowd gasped collectively, and Lila felt the weight of those words settle like lead in her gut. What did he mean? And how was she involved? As the tension mounted, she felt a wave of adrenaline surge through her. Something dark was unfolding, and she was standing squarely in the eye of the storm. What secrets about her past were about to be unleashed? And who could she truly trust now? Lila's legs trembled beneath her, adrenaline pumping as she stared into the stranger's eyes. Something flickered in the depths of his gaze, recognition, or maybe something darker. It set her heart racing. Get away from her. Matt's voice boomed, a desperate plea blended with a fierce protective instinct. He stepped forward, shoulders tense and ready. But the stranger only chuckled, a cold, mirthless sound that cut through the growing unease. A noble effort, Matt, but you can't shield her from the truth. It's only a matter of time before it all comes crashing down, the man taunted, closing the distance between them. Lila's breath hitched, her chest constricting with fear. What do you want? She managed to gasp, trying to find her voice amidst the chaos. It felt like a fragile thread in a storm. That's the thing, Lila, he replied, a smirk widening across his face as the shadows flickered around him. I want nothing but for you to see your father for who he really is. Lila's heart plummeted. Was he telling the truth? The crowd murmured, each whisper like a stone dropped into still water, creating ripples of tension. Parents held their children closer, eyes darting in uncertainty, while the officers remained rigid, unsure how to contain the storm brewing within the gathering. Shut up, Matt barked, his fists clenched tight. You don't know anything about us. The man laughed, a low rumble that filled the clearing. Oh, but I do. I know all about the past he tried so hard to bury. The lies he spun to keep you safe. Stop, Lila shouted, trying to cut through the noise, but her voice sounded so small against the backdrop of rising tension. What are you talking about? But before the man could reply, he turned his gaze back toward Matt. You should have come clean a long time ago. Now it's too late. Your lies will unravel, and she will see you for the monster you really are. A gasp rippled through the crowd, and Lila's senses felt electrified. Every part of her wanted to reject the stranger's words, but a knot tightened in her stomach. Monster? She whispered, confusion sinking deep in her chest. Dad, is it true? Matt's expression twisted. Pain and fear mingled in his eyes. Lila, I can explain, no more explanations. The stranger interrupted. You owe her the truth. Let her decide who you really are. Lila felt a swell of anger surge up, mixed with disbelief. She couldn't just stand there while secrets twisted the air into something poisonous. What are you hiding, Dad? What did you do? Lila, listen to me. He stepped toward her, but she stepped back, the anger igniting something fierce within her. Things wouldn't just dissolve as easily as he hoped. Tell me, she shouted, both defiant and desperate for answers. The man broke in again, his voice like a knife slicing through the tension. You really don't want to know, princess. The past is not a fairy tale, and your father is not a hero. Everything froze, and her father stood before her, a complex mix of regret and fear etched across his face. Lila felt like she was perched on a precipice, staring down into the abyss. Secrets clawed at her mind, growing sharper in that moment. She realized that if everything she thought she knew was a lie, she might just be standing on the edge of danger, about to tumble into a darkness she never saw coming. Then came the sound of sirens wailing in the distance, an unexpected interruption that shattered the tense standoff. Lila's pulse raced. Help was coming, but would it come in time? Lila, we don't have much time. Matt's voice was lower now, urgency slicing through the chaos. If he's here, there's much more at stake than you understand. What do you mean? But before he could answer, the figure grinned, dark satisfaction etched on his face. Oh, just that just your father's secrets that threaten you. It's the truth about you, too. And trust me, it's not what you think. The statement lingered, a solid weight in the air, as Lila stared deep into the unknown, her entire world tipping dangerously toward unraveling. What truth did he mean? As the sirens drew closer, the unthinkable possibility of confrontation loomed large, and Lila knew everything was about to change. Would she be ready to face what lay beyond the shadows? Lila's heart raced in her chest, a wild drumbeat that echoed in her ears. The man's words wrapped around her like a noose, tightening with each breath. What did he know? Who was he? She felt her world shifting beneath her feet, the crowd's nervous energy clashing with her need for answers. Lila, Matt shouted, his voice urgent. We need to leave now. But she couldn't move. The stranger stood there, a dark silhouette against the fading light, his grin deepening as he seemed to savor her turmoil. Where will you go? The man taunted, stepping closer, invading her space. The truth isn't running from you, sweetheart. You can escape the scene, but not what's inside your blood. The sharpness of his words made her flinch. What was he implying? She glanced at Matt, confusion etched on his face. She saw the desperation in his eyes, felt his fear, and yet, a part of her wanted to know what lay beneath the surface of this chaotic moment. Why are you doing this? She demanded, each word punctuated by a cocktail of defiance and dread. Oh, trust me, darling, he replied, tilting his head as his eyes glinted with malice. I'm just the messenger. Your father's past has a way of catching up with him. And it's not just him who's at risk. Shut your mouth. Matt's voice trembled with rage, and he stepped forward again, ready to confront the stranger. Listen to him, Matt, the stranger warned, feigning concern. But we both know it's too late. The truth is coming, like a wave ready to crash down. Lila's blood ran cold at his words, a chill creeping down her spine. She instinctively took a step back, glancing at the crowd, whose eyes were wide with anticipation. They had all become part of this twisted drama. The wail of sirens grew nearer, stirring a mix of hope and anxiety. Would they break the standoff? Would they free her from this nightmare? But as the sirens howled, the crowd pulsed with uncertainty, whispers rising like smoke. Matt's voice softened, almost desperate. We need to go. What is he talking about? What does he know about me? Matt hesitated, weighing his words. His face hardened, determination shining through. I'll explain everything. Just trust me. You don't have time for this. The stranger scoffed, his voice dripping with contempt. Trust him? After everything he has hidden from you? You should want to know the truth, not flee from it. Your life depends on it. Lila's gaze flicked back and forth between the two men, her heart in turmoil. What am I supposed to believe? Something flickered in Matt's eyes, fear or guilt. She couldn't tell. And in that split second, she felt the ground beneath her begin to shift again, the reality of her world fracturing. Matt began, but the thumping of the crowd's anxious energy drowned him out. The sirens burst into view, blue and red lights reflecting off the trees, creating a surreal boundary between safety and chaos. Keep her here, if you want, Matt, the stranger snarled, stepping toward Lila, his shadow consuming her. But you'll be the one that pays for the truth. I'm not finished yet. And before she could react, Matt lunged forward, but the stranger was already gone, a flash of darkness swallowed by the evening. Lila couldn't breathe. What just happened? She whispered, her voice trembling. Matt turned to her, urgency etched on his face. I'll protect you, but we need to move now. But as the officers approached, questions still lingered in the air. What did that man know? And what did the truth hold for her future? In that moment, the weight of the world bore down on Lila, the sirens turning into a haunting backdrop for the revelations that would unfold, leaving her at the edge of a cliff she never knew existed. As they turned to flee, her heart pounded with one looming dread. What if the truth was worse than she ever imagined? Lila ran, her feet pounding against the pavement, each step pulling her further away from that ominous figure and closer to the unknown. Matt stayed at her side, urgency radiating from him like heat from a fire. I swear I'll explain everything, he said, glancing back as they ducked into an alley. Just out of sight, the lights from the police cars swirled ominously, casting long shadows that felt like they were reaching for them. Why did you let him talk? What did he mean about my father? The words burst out of her, a mix of fear and frustration. The truth felt like a coiled snake ready to strike, and she needed to know what poison it held. It's complicated, Matt replied, his breath coming in sharp gasps. Your dad, he was involved in things he tried to bury. And now his voice trailed off, thick with lingering dread. Now what? Lila pressed, panic knitting her brow. The shadows around her felt darker, more threatening. Here in the quiet, walled-in stretch of the alley, She could almost hear her heart echoing the chaos outside. "They're coming for him. And you," he said at last, urgency etched into every syllable. "You need to understand, is past isn't just his problem. You're part of it now. You have a choice, either run or confront it." Lila's mind raced. A choice? But what choice was really there? The last few days of her life had already been shaken to their core, and if she were being honest, she felt like she was holding on to a fraying rope, dangling over a dark abyss. "Confront it?" She scoffed, bitterness rising in her throat. "What am I supposed to confront? I don't even know what it is." Matt's eyes locked onto hers. "We can't go home. Not yet. We have to find a safe place to talk." "What if I don't want to hear what you have to say?" Lila's voice quivered, half challenging, half desperate. But the truth was, she needed to arm herself against whatever storm was brewing. Matt took a step closer, his voice dropping to a whisper. "There's a reason that man tracked you down. You're not just a bystander in this anymore. The truth can either set you free or seal your fate. We have to figure it out, and fast." A siren wailed again in the distance, but this time it was fading, a reminder that her window of safety was closing fast. She could feel a weight growing heavier in her chest, squeezing her heart like a vice. "Fine," she said, her words shaky yet firm. "But if I do this, you have to promise me. No more secrets, no more half-truths." Matt nodded, his expression serious as if he understood the gravity of what they were stepping into. "I promise. No more secrets." They slipped out of the alley and into the bustle of the nearby streets, blending into the crowd as the evening deepened around them. Lila felt a strange mix of fear and anticipation bubbling within her. What if the answers unlocked something dark inside of her? As they maneuvered through the throngs of people, a specific memory suddenly flashed through her mind. An old photograph of a man she barely recognized, standing next to her father with a dangerous glint in his eyes. Who was he? That man, what if he is connected to me? To my family? She said, voice barely audible over the thrum of the city. Matt's expression shifted, concern deepening. "That's what we need to find out. But be prepared, what you uncover might change everything." Just then, a figure loomed at the corner of her vision, familiar yet unsettling. Lila whipped around, searching the faces around her. Was it him? Had he come after her again? Matt grabbed her arm. "Stay close. No matter what happens, trust me." And as they stood together in the crowd, torn between the safety of anonymity and the looming threat trailing them, the full weight of her decision settled in. The truth was waiting to be uncovered, but at what cost? Lila took a deep breath. "Let us go?" But as they moved, she couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning. Dark waters were rising, and soon, she'd be forced to dive deep into the truth that surrounded her blood. What awaited her at the end of this journey? Would she emerge whole or forever changed? The streets buzzed with life, but all Lila could hear was the pounding of her heart. It felt like every step they took was echoing through a void, amplifying her anxiety. She glanced up at the buildings towering above, casting long shadows that stretched like dark fingers toward her. Every face in the crowd was a potential threat or ally. She felt lost and exposed. "I can't keep looking over my shoulder like this," Lila said, pulling her phone from her pocket. It was dead, just like her safety, she thought. "We need to find someplace safe, somewhere we can talk without." She struggled to find the right words, without them listening. Matt nodded curtly, scanning the street. "You're right. There's a diner a few blocks away. It's usually quiet at this hour. We can talk there." Without waiting for a response, he started leading her through a narrow pathway between two shops. The fading light cast a warm hue against the weathered bricks, a stark contrast to the turmoil swelling within her. Like moths to a flame, her thoughts flickered back to the man in the alley, his warning echoing in her mind. What had her father done? When they reached the diner, the smell of greasy fries and sizzling bacon wrapped around them like a comforting blanket. Embraced by the chaos and chatter inside, Lila felt both safe and frightened. They slid into a booth in the corner, the leather cracked and worn, but it made her feel grounded. Matt leaned in closer, lowering his voice. "Okay, let us lay it all out. Your father, he was involved with a group that did things that put him on their radar. And now, they want you too. I don't understand. What does this have to do with me?" She was trembling, the clatter of dishes and laughter from other patrons fading into white noise. "It's not just his past, Lila. It's your bloodline. You have a connection to them. His eyes bore into hers, and for a moment, the weight of his words felt suffocating. There are documents, records, things that could tie you directly to those people. If they find out find out what? That I'm just a normal girl trying to get through college? Lila interrupted, the edges of her voice sharp. That I have no idea what is happening? Matt winced at her outburst, but his expression softened. Because you're more than that. If I hadn't intervened tonight, they would have seen you. They already know too much. They know who you are. Lila's mind raced. What did that even mean? Her father's shadow loomed larger with every revelation. So you're saying there's a target on my back because of him? What do you want me to do? I want you to know the truth. He hesitated, glancing around as if sensing unseen eyes gaping. That man in the alley? He isn't just dangerous. He is connected to something much bigger. They're not just out to intimidate us. They want to control you because of your father's legacy. Because of a choice he made long ago. The words hung heavy in the air. Lila felt the first tendrils of fear creeping up her spine. Was she really a part of this twisted legacy? What if confronting it only led her to danger? As the waitress approached with their coffee, Lila caught a flicker of movement out of the corner of her eye. A figure stood by the window, motionless, eyes locked onto her. A chill washed over her, and she gripped the table, every instinct telling her to flee. Matt, she whispered, urgency in her voice, I think someone is here. He turned sharply, and the expression on his face darkened. Stay calm. Just keep your head down. We can't give them any reason to come after us. Not now. But as Lila looked back toward the window, the figure had vanished, leaving only an uneasy emptiness that gnawed at her. Who was tracking them? What did they want? A moment later, her phone vibrated in her pocket, a message. She fished it out, the screen lighting up with a single word, run. Without thinking, she shot up from the booth, her feet moving before her mind could catch up. What is happening? Matt yelled, jolting up too. I don't know. We need to go. But even as they turned toward the exit, Lila felt another wave of dread wash over her. Whatever was coming next was going to plunge her deeper into the darkness of her past. Would she have the strength to face it? Or would the echoes of her father's choices snare her forever? The truth was out there, waiting, and she had just stumbled into the eye of the storm. What was hunting them? And how far was she willing to go to confront the secrets etched into her lineage? Lila bolted from the booth, her heart racing like a wild drumbeat in her chest. She barely registered the clatter of dishes and startled conversations erupting around her as Matt grasped her wrist. We need to move, now? He urged, urgency in his voice. They didn't look back. Lila focused on the exit, suddenly aware of the eyes that seemed to swallow them whole. Each step felt like a plunge into an abyss, a desperate fling toward freedom that might only lead to more darkness. Left, Matt shouted, his grip pulling her down a side corridor leading to the diner's back door. The scent of fried food faded, replaced with the musty smell of alleyway refuse. The cacophony of the diner drowned out muffled murmurs drifting behind them. The night air hit her like a cold slap. A deep breath did little to calm her. It was as if the city had eyes that followed them. They came out into the narrow alley, the brick walls closing in as Lila stumbled slightly, her nerves making her clumsy. Where do we go now? She gasped, trying to keep up with Matt's hurried pace. Just trust me. We'll find a cab, he replied, but his eyes flicked toward the street, the tension on his brow becoming more pronounced. An unsettling feeling settled in Lila's gut, the kind that whispered something was very, very wrong. The streets seemed different now, even sinister, every shadow looking like a lurking predator. As they reached the mouth of the alley, Matt suddenly halted and pushed Lila behind him. Wait, he said, his voice low, almost a growl. What? She whispered, holding her breath, straining to see beyond him. Then she spotted a dark figure emerging from the opposite end of the alley, the silhouette unmistakable. It was the man from the alley, the one who had warned her. As he stepped closer, the streetlights caught a hint of his features, revealing the same haunting intensity that had frozen her the first time. Stay back, Matt warned, shoving her further behind him. The man stopped, watching them with piercing eyes. Lila, he said, his voice smooth yet laced with something dangerous. You don't know what you're running from. Who are you? Matt barked, taking a step toward him, his body tense, ready for a fight. But the man didn't back down. He raised his hands, palms outward in a gesture of surrender, yet the menace in his gaze never faltered. I'm here to help you, but you have to stop running. Help? How can we trust you? Lila snapped, fear turning into a shaky edge of defiance. Because I know your father's secrets. The ones that got him killed. The weight of his statement hung in the air, sending a chill creeping down Lila's spine. I don't want anything to do with this, she shouted, each word tinged with raw desperation. The man lowered his voice, his tone shifting to something almost gentle. No one wants this, but it's already chosen you. You're a part of it whether you like it or not. He paused, his eyes narrowing. You need to know the truth to survive, or you'll fall into the same trap he did. Matt shifted beside her, torn between standing guard and listening. Lila felt a wave of conflicting emotions, a mix of confusion, fear, and a flicker of curiosity. What truth? She asked, her voice trembling, barely above a whisper. The man took a step closer. There's a reason they want you, Lila. You're not just his daughter, you're a key to everything. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed from the street. Tires screeched, and Lila's heart leaped as a black SUV skidded to a stop, its headlights slicing through the darkness. Go. Now, Matt shouted, grabbing Lila's hand, but it was too late. The figure had vanished, swallowed whole by the night, leaving nothing behind but the palpable tension that clung to her skin as they ran down the alley. Lila's mind spun with the weight of the man's words. A key? What did that even mean? Her thoughts scattered as they turned another corner, adrenaline surging through her veins. Behind them, the roar of an engine revved closer, chilling her to the bone. What had she stumbled into, and could running possibly be the answer? Her breath came heavy in her chest as they took another sharp turn. Lila had a feeling she was on the precipice of uncovering answers that could lead her deeper into a pit of fire, one that seemed inescapable. What truth awaited her? Would confronting her past be the only way to break free from the nightmare that was just beginning to unfold? Lila felt frantic energy coursing through her limbs as she and Matt sprinted down the dimly lit street. Each pounding step echoed in her ears, mingling with the relentless revving of the SUV's engine. The world around her was a blurring tapestry of shadows and flickering lights, but one thought cut through the chaos like a knife. She had to find out what her father's secrets were. The grip of Matt's hand was reassuring yet firm, a lifeline pulling her forward into uncertainty. They skidded to a stop at a corner. Lila could see the SUV idling, its dark shape looming like a predator waiting for its prey. She felt the dread settling deeper, pooling in the pit of her stomach. Over there. Matt pointed to a cab pulling up a few feet away. They dashed toward it, pushing through the knot of confusion and fear swirling in her mind. Get in, he urged, opening the door and shoving her inside before slipping in beside her. The driver eyed them warily. Where to? He asked, and before Lila could even think, Matt shouted, just drive. Fast. As the cab lurched away from the curb, Lila half-turned, catching a glimpse of the SUV. The driver had revved the engine, clearly preparing to chase them down. Her heart sank at the sight. Where there was one danger, there could easily be others. Lila leaned forward, breathless. We have to lose them. Just hold on, Matt replied, his voice steady despite the chaos surrounding them. We need to get somewhere safe. She nodded, but guilt gnawed at her. Why was Matt putting himself in danger for her? They barely knew each other, yet here he was, risking everything to protect her from something she barely understood. Lila forced herself to focus as they wove through the city streets, adrenaline spurring her heart faster. The cab darted into side streets, the driver expertly maneuvering through the maze of the city. The two-toned sirens of the SUV faded into the distance. But the reprieve was short-lived. The driver glanced nervously at the rearview mirror. I don't want any trouble, just keep driving. Matt barked. The tension in his tone made Lila's skin prickle with unease. Turn left up ahead, Lila instructed, her instincts sharpening. Get us to a public place somewhere crowded. Each second felt stretched tight, the grip of fear wrapping around her. She needed clarity. She needed answers. The cab took the turn, and a bustling street came into view, a busy square filled with people. A small crowd gathered for an outdoor event, their laughter and chatter creating a protective bubble of normalcy. Stop here, Lila yelled. The driver complied, pulling over to the curb. She flung open the door, her pulse racing. As they stepped out into the crowd, Lila was hit with the smell of popcorn and roasted nuts. The lively atmosphere contrasted sharply with the dread lurking behind her. She half expected to see that ominous SUV emerge at any moment. "We'll blend in here," Matt said, his eyes scanning the area. "Stay close." Yet, as Lila looked around, her mind raced. "The man," she muttered, remembering his words. "He said I was a key, but to what?" Something shifted in the air, a new presence that rippled with tension. Her gaze caught onto a figure at the edge of the crowd, a man who seemed to be lingering, watching her with the same piercing intensity she had seen before. "Matt," she whispered, but her voice was lost in the chatter. Lila felt heat rising in her cheeks. Panic laced through her veins. "Stay down," Matt said, pulling her closer to him, their bodies wedged behind a vendor's cart. "Who is that?" she hissed, squinting at the figure. "Just somebody you don't want to see right now," he replied, his face tight with anxiety. The man turned slightly, his features obscured by shadows, but Lila felt that this was no coincidence. Whatever she had stumbled into was more dangerous than she could have imagined, and she was dangerously close to the center of it all. "Lila," Matt whispered, his eyes locked on the figure. "We need to keep moving now." But before Lila could reply, she saw the man's mouth move as he spoke into a radio, and a wave of dread washed over her. Had they found her? Her breathing quickened. What did he know? Then, through the crowd, she noticed something, a bright flash from a camera, the glint of a new arrival bearing down on them. "Stay close." Matt pulled her deeper into the throng, but the chaos had only begun. Who were these people? As the panic rose, Lila's heart thundered in her chest. She needed to find out who was after her and why before it was too late. Would she step into the light and face the truth, or would the shadows consume her once and for all? Lila's heart hammered in her chest as she dashed through the crowd, adrenaline surging through her veins. The faces around her blended into a blur of fleeting expressions, each one an echo of panic that mirrored her own. Matt maintained a firm grip on her wrist, his determination fueling her urgency. "Keep moving," he urged, urgency lacing his voice. As they weaved through the bustling square, Lila felt the suffocating air filled with laughter, and music contrasted sharply with the storm raging inside her. She couldn't shake the feeling that the eyes of the figure were upon her. The man had warned her she was part of something much larger than herself. Did it really all come back to her father's shadowy past? "Where do we go now?" she gasped, her voice shaking slightly. "Just stay close, and don't look back." "We need to get out of here," Matt replied, scanning the chaotic surroundings for an escape route. As they moved deeper into the crowd, Lila's instincts flared. The bright lights of the nearby tents twisted shadows into grotesque figures, and she could feel the weight of danger pressing against her lungs. It was too much. Her mind spun with fragments of conversations, half-formed thoughts of betrayal and lies. "Why won't you tell me what is happening?" she insisted, desperation creeping into her voice. "Why am I connected to all of this?" Matt hesitated, eyes darting around, relentless worry cracking through his composed exterior. "I promised no secrets, remember?" He took a deep breath, as if summoning the courage to share whatever darkness brewed behind their flight. "Then tell me," Lila snapped, frustration pouring out. The noise of the crowd didn't drown out the deep, thudding truth that lay in wait. "I can handle it. Just give me a chance to understand what I'm up against." His gaze softened, vulnerability flickering in his eyes. "This isn't just about your father. It's about you, too. They want you because," he paused, choosing his words carefully. "What?" she pressed, urgency spilling from her. "Because I'm a threat to them, or a valuable asset to what they want." Frozen by his words, Lila felt a chill run down her spine. "What do you mean? What could I possibly have that they want?" "Your bloodline." "Your father," Matt hesitated, then swallowed hard, his voice lowering to a near whisper. "He was involved in something dangerous, criminal organizations that sought power through bloodshed, and you inherit that legacy." "Stop," she shouted, her voice breaking. "I can't be a part of that. I won't let my life be defined by his mistakes." The weight of his words pressed harder against her chest, but determination flared within her. "I'm my own person. I will not fall into his shadows. Not now, not ever." Before Matt could respond, the ominous figure lurked back into view, the one watching from the edge of the crowd. The very air around Lila thickened. The realization thudded like a drum. "He's here," she whispered, fear clawing at her throat. "We can't stay here, remember? Come on." Matt tugged her forward, but her legs felt like lead. She could not let the shadows surround her again. She had to confront this fear. Lila stopped dead in her tracks and turned to face Matt. "We have to face him. You said I needed to confront my past. I want to know. What? Are you out of your mind?" He blinked, shock written across his face. "Please." Tears brimmed in her eyes, the surge of resolve sharpening her voice. "If I run, then I'm really nothing more than a pawn in this game. I need to take control of my own story." With that, she stepped forward, her spine straightening with newfound resolve. "I will not let fear dictate my life. I have to know the truth." Suddenly, the figure moved closer, the crowd parting as if willingly offering them to the storm. Lila and Matt stood together, her heart pounding but steady. She could see the malice layered within the man's cold eyes, but now, they were mirrored with a flicker of understanding. "Lila Matthews," he said smoothly, grin widening as he approached. "I see you've decided to step out of the shadows. Bold choice, but it won Team Matter in the end. Who are you?" she demanded, standing firm against the tide of intimidation. "I'm someone who knows the truth about what you really are, the key to a world your father tried to protect you from. But it seems you're walking right into it," he replied, condescension dripping from every word. Lila straightened, every ounce of her courage surface. "What do you want from me?" "Your father's legacy isn't easily left behind, darling. You can either embrace it or be crushed by it. The truth is a double-edged sword. You just have to decide how to wield it." She felt Matt's hand clench on her shoulder, grounding her against the onslaught of emotion. "We're done hiding," he proclaimed, stepping instinctively closer to her, ready to shield her from whatever darkness lay ahead. Lila knew then that a choice faced her, a chance to confront her father's past and redefine her future. She felt alive amid the chaos swirling around her, igniting a fire within. "No more running," she declared, meeting the stranger's gaze head-on. "If I must face the truth of my lineage, then so be it. I choose to own my story." The figure's smirk faltered for the briefest moment. "So be it," he sneered, stepping back momentarily. "But just remember, a choice can lead to unexpected consequences." As shadows loomed around her, Lila took a deep breath, her heart steadying, wrapping herself in determination. She was ready to unearth the buried truths that defined her existence. But now, it wasn't just a battle against the shadows. It was a fight for her own light. And as the crowd buzzed behind her, Lila stepped forward, prepared to face whatever darkness awaited. This one moment would define her future. You need to subscribe now so you don't miss the next gripping chapter of Lila's story. Smash that like button now to show your support and feed the algorithm. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about the shocking twists. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who simply must see this heart-stopping conclusion.